Hello everyone, it's great to have you all on board. It's another time with Tutor Ayo, the Enthusiastic Tutor. And in today's tutorial, we're going to be talking about what it means by litigation. Okay, now this is not for you in this department, for students in this department, in this level. The word litigation is not a new word. Okay, and basically, when we talk about litigation, what are we simply referring to? All right, in a simple term, okay, when we say litigation, we are simply referring to a lawsuit, okay, a lawsuit. And this lawsuit has a proceeding, okay, a proceeding by one or more parties, one another. All right, now, but one thing we need to pay attention to here is that when we talk about litigation, we are simply referring to something, all right? And this, what we are referring to, just a moment. And what we are referring to, we are simply referring to the process of taking a legal action. The process that involves you taking a legal action, all right? Taking a lawsuit is a process that also involves that as well, all right? So now, this process is very intentional about engaging legal proceeding, all right? And litigation takes place in the court of law, okay? It takes place in the court of law, where we have two persons involved. The is taking place in the court of law, and we have two persons involved, okay? The offendant, whereby we have the person who has been offended suing the other person, or somebody not pleased with a particular action, all right? But one thing we need to understand here is that when we talk about litigation, we're talking about the person that involved taking a legal action against some other person, all right? With that being said, let's go back into what we have here. Now, it says ideological trust or violence. Ideological trust or violence. When we talk about the ideological trust, or violence, okay, we are simply talking about the fact that violence can be viewed in a specific critical way, all right? And Karl Marx said something here, okay? Marx, in 1969, said something. Now, according to him, he said ideological trust of violence is sometimes used as a present, all right? Violence is sometimes used to present, okay? Sometimes used to present a false what? False idealized version of society, okay? He says sometimes that, according to him, violence is used to present a false what? False idealized version presents false, idealized society. Now together, idealized version, I beg your pardon, of society or of a society. Now, and this idealized, all right, or make to be kind of society is based on equality and fairness. Meanwhile, it is connotative. Equality and meanwhile, it should be fairness. Meanwhile, it is connotative, meaning that it is not all that glitters that it is gold. Okay? Now, however, this so-called idealized, all right, this so-called ideology actually conceals and uphold oppressive powers. All right? Actually oppressive powers. In other words, violence is not a tool for achieving fairness. All right? But rather, okay, but rather a means to maintain the existing power imbalances. Existing power imbalances. Now, this course is very tricky. All right? Mr. Kayode, it's great to have you on board. Mr. Kayode, I told you to reach out to me so we can guide you on how to go about your private class. And we can support you with everything we have just to see you all set up. So this is what Marx is saying about the so-called ideological thrust of violence, whereby a society is being portrayed as, are we together, as equal. A society is being portrayed as a society where equality and fairness happens through the use of violence. But the thing there is that this is actually concealed. There is something hidden, which is the use of oppressive power. Okay? And as we are being told that violence is not a tool for achieving true fairness. So we have that as that. It's going to be a pretty short class because we started late and unfortunately the network was bad and everything. So we might not be able to really do much in this class. So now, let's talk about violence and sacrifice. But before we talk about violence and sacrifice, under this, it might interest you to note that violence highlights the way in which power may be used, all right, in the idea of equality to justify actions. Are we together? Even when those actions continue to subjugate, Marx's perspective critiques how ideological narrative can be manipulated, okay, to sustain system of dominance. All right? Marx here is telling us that Marx says that ideological narrative, okay, can be used to manipulate, Are we together? Can be used to manipulate, to sustain system of domination. To sustain system of domination. Okay, we are live again. So now let's quickly talk about this. Please pay attention to the sound of my voice. The exclusive right use of violence thesis. Exclusive meaning only one person. Exclusive meaning only one person. Meaning that the exclusive right of governance to the use of power. Are governments allowed or encouraged to use power? There's an argument about this. All right. Justification. There's a great debate on this issue of justification of violence or violent action. Some scholars believe that it is not only government that possesses the right to the application of violence. All right. But nevertheless, government has the absolute responsibility to maintain law and order. So let's quickly talk about violence and sacrifice. Okay. One thing to understand here is that according to Girard in 1979, he argues that sacrifice serves as a means of staving off violence. I don't want to erase the bill because of our time. Girard says violence and sacrifice. You know what violence is already. So how does violence go together? According to him, his argument, he said that sacrifice serves as a means of staving off violence. How does this happen? It redirects violence towards a victim incapable of seeking vengeance, unfortunately, an initial act of violence that seeks to prevent an escalation. Now, if somebody who falls a victim of a thing, because that person does not have the power to retaliate, the best the person can do is to let it slide. And that's why I said it is our means, an opportunity is our means, a medium for staffing of violence. So we're going to call it wrap here for today. Thank you very much, everyone. And it's quite unfortunate we are unable to do much because of our timing and everything. But do well to join the private class. Let's walk you through all this as we understand that this semester is going to be pretty short. Just go to our official website, www.store.net, and use the WhatsApp button on the top right hand corner to send us a direct message. Do have a wonderful evening. Request to join and bye for now.